called mindful munching because we're really talking about snacking. That's been the theme of this week. But I just prefer to ask you how you feel you're going with the challenge so far. I mean, what's working, what's not working. So tell me what's working for you at the moment. What do you find? You know what? I'm going really well with something. If it's the exercise, the nutrition, just planning, shopping.
I think just really focusing, like, you know, just bringing yourself back and looking at your portions again and all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, it's easy just to, they can build up and, you know, so I think it's good for that, just to bring it all back.
Yep.
You know, because the principles are all there.
Yes.
It's just,
yeah. Great. Because I get a lot of people who always say, look, I eat healthy, but I can't lose the last couple of kilos. And you're exactly right. It's looking at sometimes every now and then we meander off sort of the track and to go back, and usually with our meal plans, it gives you an idea of, oh, okay, so pasta, it's that much. And okay, muesli's that much, but it's so healthy. And I know I meander off topic sometimes, so that's why it's good if you're coming back to the challenge, just to retune yourself with quantity. What else are you finding that's working?
Looking at your triggers.
Aha, interesting topic. Yeah. So,
especially the afternoon for me.
Yeah, excellent. That's spot on, because that's what we're going to talk about today. I mean, if you don't actually find the pattern and the trigger, how on earth are you supposed to find the right strategy? That's why it's not a one-size-fits-all, and that's why we never just go, here's a meal plan, see you later. It's also what happens when the meal plan doesn't work. You may look at it and go, pink lady apple or a couple of prunes. I don't think so in the afternoon, I want something different. So what do you do at that point in time when you're going to reach something else? So that's what we'll talk about today. Who else has found their trigger or knows their sort of the foods that will trigger foods, the situations where you don't get caught out here?
Something you said last week about the coffee. You had a client who just went for the coffee.
Yep.
And I found I really did that. I'd go for a coffee and I'd go, oh, hang on a minute. Do I really want a coffee? Not really. I'd have like a healthy something.
That's great.
And then decide whether or not I really wanted a coffee after that.
And it's working.
Yeah.
Excellent. So it's that whole idea of still giving yourself permission and not saying you can't not have the coffee because then you want coffee, and then eating, and then you'll probably find you've got the energy from the food rather than the coffee. Great. Yeah.
I love, I'm a bit time struck at the moment, but I love just being able to have it on the fridge. Okay, what am I having for lunch today? I'm going to make it, I'm like that, and I'm going to weigh this much. And I'm
Good.
Yeah, that's what's working for me.
Yeah. Fantastic. So planning, if it's there,
Planning.
because you all have knowledge, and so I know if I don't have something in the fridge and you go, oh, what am I going to do? Don't have time, we'll do the easy option. So that's great. Yeah. What's not working? Or is everyone perfect at the moment?
4 o'clock in the afternoon.
4 o'clock in the afternoon. So what happens at 4? Is it that sort of, you've got that gap between 4 o'clock and dinner, and that's when things happen?
And if you're not prepared, and then sometimes social occasions also can be a bit of a...
Yep, get caught out.
Yeah. We had people coming for dinner last night, but then they were late. And I was starving. I had the pumpkin soup and I'd made the stew as well. So
Right.
yeah, I told them I was eating diet food.
But it's hard, isn't it? Because if you've got a plan and it doesn't work, do you have a backup contingency plan? And so when you're hungry, the longer you eat, the harder it is. And then you might get annoyed and go, well, I was supposed to be. What else isn't working? What else are you finding a little bit difficult? Or you still find, because only there in 2 weeks, I find 4 weeks is not too long. So sometimes people go, I'm feeling okay, but I know the next few days might be difficult or whatever. Does anyone else find that there's some sticking points happening?
Just being tired. When I'm tired, I'm not energy.
Yeah.
So I think it will help for the time being.
That's right. I mean, let's face it, it's the sort of weather where it is comforting to have those comforting foods. And that can be our usual trigger of every time I have no energy, go for something to eat or coffee. Yeah. Who else finds that winter? It is that sort of time you want to hibernate. I had to really give myself a good talking to exercise this morning. It was very, very hard. So my half's going, who are you talking to? I'm like, I'm telling myself to get out of bed. Finally worked.
I think knowing, didn't want to listen, say knowing what the snacks are.
The alternatives.
And try to have maybe low GI snacks. Because rather than doing without, you're better off having something.
That's right.
That's something that you can control. Something that's
So that's the thing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So snacking can make us or break us. It can break us if it's the the sort of high GI ones that don't give us any nutrition, doesn't satisfy us. But then if you've got, like you said, the alternatives, particularly the one I tried was the soy egg one. I put it on like a whole grain cracker with some egg, and it's got that protein and the low GI. I'm actually feeling really full. It's actually quite satisfying. So that's what I want to hand out right now. Is topic for mindful munching. And remember, you might find, you know what, I'm pretty good at the moment with everything. It just means after the challenge, when things start to go, you know, a bit pear-shaped, or, you know, as you were saying, Kerry, to start, like, you know, I've got the whole concept that sometimes you go off track, it might be portions, but mindful munching is, it's not a new concept. I mean, whether you call it non-hungry eating, but mindful munching is really getting in tune with our eating, and so it really ties in with snacking. And so mindful munching is the positive opposite behaviour to mindless eating. So remember I tapped on that, I touched on that last week, mindless munching. And so there's actually been a book written about it, and in today's society it's so easy to actually not listen to your appetite and just eat autopilot. But also, let's face it, in today's society as well, portions are bigger. I remember when I grew up with those Corelle bowls, little cups, and now everything is huge. You go and buy a wedding gift for someone who has these big bowls, and you know. So our portions are getting bigger, but also, let's face it, quite often we will finish what's on our plate even when we're full. So remember the concept I talked about last week, the Japanese term of harahachibu, so it's eating until you're 80% full. And look, it might be a testament to your really good cooking, but if you're a really good cook and it tastes lovely, do you have the capacity to say no when you're already full? You know, it can be really hard if it's really, really nice. Or if you've actually had a bad day and food tastes good. So that's something we're going to look at, because we know if we actually don't get in tune with our appetite, when we talk about the metabolism, that's what screws it up. If you're just eating at different times for no particular reason. And so sometimes it feels like that you're in no man's land if you don't have a few key concepts in your head. Who's found that sometimes? You think, oh, I'm never going to get this sorted. I'm just all over the shop. So if you can actually go back to what you were saying before, your triggers and looking for patterns, then you can become your own food detective and really nail it. That doesn't mean you'll never be perfect at it. It just means at that point in time, the next time, you can pick it up. So who has been finding, and particularly if you did the challenge last time or even when you heard the talk last week, who's actually getting in tune with what you're like? Oh, I know I've got that habit at that point in time. Or who's becoming more mindful of what's going on? Yeah. What does that do to you when you start to get more aware or coming tuned with what's going on?
It actually empowers you, I believe, a little bit, because you're making a choice rather than, you know, just going along blindly.
That's right. So it's not you as a person that's the problem. It's just your thinking is a bit probably distorted and your choices are a bit distorted. So we all do it. And so the minute you associate yourself with, oh, I'm never going to do this, I mean, that's when it depletes our confidence. But if you can take a step back and analyse the situation as you would do as a mother, or if you're working, what are the sticking points? Then you can really nail it. So that's the first thing I thought, and it sounds really simple, but the differentiating between physical and psychological hunger. So physical hunger, like Kate would have had last night, that gnawing sensation that friends haven't done, that gnawing sensation, that's really normal, and you want to feel hungry. And I think I mentioned last week that we do have a hormone 5 hours after you've eaten will be released to signal to your brain that you need to eat. And so that's a good sign. If you leave it for any longer, that's when you just want to eat the horse and chase the rider, so to speak. So that's a good thing, getting in tune with when you're hungry. Waking up in the morning and being hungry is fantastic. The opposite is the psychological hunger, we call that head hunger. And that tends to be very automatic. And that's the one where it's not physical hunger, it's just when situations come up. And that's what I've put here. So first of all, just to stop and identify when you're hungry, and that may be the first goal you work on for the next week if you're not already doing that. I just need to know when I'm hungry and finish when I'm full. But the second thing is to get in tune with what are the patterns going on. If you start to notice a pattern in your behaviour, then you can come up with the right strategy. And so what I've put here is really to think about when are the times when you do overeat. Is it different compared to the times when you don't overeat? And I've put do the following patterns to relate to you. I've put out a whole menu of them and have a think about if they relate to you. You know, when you're alone in the house, people are gone, just me in the house. Is it when you're driving that you might eat? Is it in front of the television or in front of the computer? Social gatherings, I call that kind of calorie amnesia. After a glass of wine by the end of it, you don't remember what you've eaten, and that can be really hard, particularly if the social situations come up all the time. The need to finish what's on your plate. So the whole mother said, finish what's on your plate. That's an ingrained belief, and if you can't change that, it is changing the strategy. Do you then put less on your plate? Because let's face it, if you truly believe it's waste, and it kind of is, no mind talk is ever going to really talk yourself out of it. So you've got to really think of a different strategy. Straight after exercise, I've just burnt the calories. Do you go for some food rather than the water, you know? When packing away the groceries, or when you are grocery shopping and you've gone really hungry. Who's done that before? And all the food looks wonderful. Yeah, so I want you to think about, and it might be now or later on, is to think about what would your strategy be? So does anyone relate to that?
The one for me, no doubt, definitely, I reckon is, yeah, I've got one. And it just rang, as soon as I looked at it, oh wow, it's when you're alone at home, home alone. And it doesn't happen very often. You say, whoa, yeah, right. So heading to the pantry or the freezer or whatever. No, I really notice that. And if Nisha's gone out, it's like, oh, she's gone out, I can eat. It's like, so that one definitely. It's just, no, and I suppose in the strategy is, and Nisha's put this strategy in place, is you don't have anything that you can munch on. When you go to the pantry, you go, no, there's nothing there. So
Run down the shop, then everyone will see me if I go along.
yeah, no, I would never go to the shop. I know people would go, oh, well, I'll just head down the IGA. But yeah, no, so that one for me, definitely.
So kind of two strategies is sort of not having it in the house, but also, you know, it's just being aware of it. And it's nice to have time to yourself. And so the question I ask people is, what do you like about that situation? And people go, I'm away from it. No, it's sort of like, I've got my time, everyone else is away. So what do you get out of that? Usually just, you know, what do you get out of, if I ask you, when no one else is around? What do you like about that?
I don't know.
First question you want to ask
yeah,
is, what do you get out of that situation?
Being able to enjoy it without anyone.
Yeah, maybe. The fact that, I'm going looking for some chips and Nisha's not going to say, you know.
Sometimes I'm in control, no one's going to tell me what to do. And I don't know my other half does, so when I get home, I can smell the chicken. So it's sometimes, before you come up with the strategies, and it's not to start to psychoanalyse someone, it's really to look at, what do you like about that behaviour? And so people often say, oh, it's time to myself, it's a release, it's relaxation. So can you get a release and relaxation without food? That's the question. And so some people say, look, as a mum, soak in the bath, or go for a walk, or, you know, just go to bed for 10 minutes or whatever. So it doesn't mean you can't not eat food, but it's that time when you're not hungry. It's looking at, is there something else I can get that will actually satisfy me without the food? Because let's face it, once you eat the food, what happens after you eat the food when you know you shouldn't have done it? You feel bad. So you get the guilt after it, and regrets are a waste of time. So remember, in that hierarchy I showed you the first talk, it's choose your treats. So if you go, you know what, it's so not worth finishing that off, because I know I've got a Saturday night thing with some family and friends, I'm going to wait till then, and you know what, just go and do something that you get value from, and then you don't get the guilt after it. So then you don't get crotchety and annoyed with yourself later on. So sometimes it's really thinking about, what do I like about that behaviour? Any other ideas? That's great. It's a common one. We all do it when you're home alone. It's do what I want.
What about the social gathering?
Yes. How's that a sticking point? So
I've got a book up once a month, and that's usually a food feast.
Yeah, it's time to, it's food social, isn't it? So
Yeah.
and so what do you find hard about that situation?
Well, just because you have no control of because everyone brings a plate, so you have no control of what's there. I mean, usually people would try and bring something healthy, but there's always people who would, bring their sausage rolls to pies, like just something that's whacked in the oven. I mean, I had one on the weekend, and normally I don't have lunch beforehand, but I had something to eat beforehand, so I wasn't hungry when I got there.
Did that work?
I eat a hell of a lot less.
There you go. So there's a great strategy. So it's the different things work for different people, but it might be I'll eat before it goes, then the temptation's not as hard. What other strategies have you employed in social situations? Because that's a really good one to eat before you go.
Just keep talking.
Keep talking. Tells me you wouldn't find that very That's a nice strategy. Chew people's ear off. People's ear off. What else? What other strategies? I can give you one. One thing I do, I don't have as many business dinners now, but I had a heap before. It's like, you know what, I'm going to be the size of the house if I keep going to morning teas, afternoon teas, dinners. So what I tend to do, and I've given this tip to the last group, was you've got lovely food around and you don't want to not enjoy it, because people, they'll go, oh, dietitian, you 24/7. It's like, you know what, I love food, give me some cheese, I'm more of a savoury person. So what I'll do is get a small plate and choose the things I like. Not for calories, for taste. I'll have this, this, this. And then look, if there's some celery sticks, I'll put that on there because you can eat that mindlessly. And that's on the plate. And I'll leave. And then you do talking and talking and talking and talking. But when the plate has gone, the food's gone, you don't go back. So then you can actually start to calculate and be mindful of how much you're eating. Whereas before it was, this is fun, then we go out for business dinners, and then it's like, oh my goodness, how much exercise am I have to do, kind of thing. So yeah, I usually just get a small plate and plenty of water as well. So does anyone else find that? Just, or a little serviette, and choose them, enjoy it. Does anyone feel guilty whenever they eat, and this can be a problem as well, if you've ever gone to a function or a dinner and you're feeling guilty going, I shouldn't really eat this, and the whole time you're eating it, you're just thinking, why did I do this? Does anyone have anything in that situation before? So what happens when you start to feel that, you know, I shouldn't have done this, when you're eating the food that was supposed to be nice?
Eat more.
You eat more of it, exactly. So let's go back to mindful eating. And it's kind of what the French do. So mindful eating is not only just being aware of the healthy food you're eating on a plate, TV off, it's also being mindful of the food you enjoy. So if you are choosing a treat and you are going, yes, I'm going to eat Mum's fantastic apple pie, I'm going to go out and have those cheese and crackers or whatever, I want you to really think about what you like about it, rather than going, I shouldn't have had it. If you have planned that treat and the rest of the week has been good, start to think about the taste of it, the texture, the smell. What do you like about it? What do you think the difference would be if you're thinking like that, rather than, geez, can't miss that exercise class tomorrow, and shouldn't have done that. What do you think the difference in the result will be if you're actually enjoying the food and thinking about what you like about it?
I don't think you'll live as much more with the speak what you like and not ignore it. And certainly not to compensate for feeling guilty about eating your mum's apple pie.
Exactly. And then the interpretation of blown, I'll study it next week. So sometimes it's, you know what, well, I'm pretty good with the whole sitting at the table. Maybe it's the trigger is at the social situation where I feel really guilty. So I challenge you that when you do pick a treat, remember it's quality, not quantity. It might be something quite small, but like you're saying, you may not get through all of it. I've had many people who've had years of binge eating. Once it's set in that task, it gives them control back. It's amazing to see the difference in their confidence with just giving yourself permission to enjoy foods. Because no food is bad, it's just that we abuse it. That's the difference, really. So that's the next thing I want to show you. If you turn over, it is, we've talked a little bit about the triggers. So that's looking at the times that you eat and when you overeat as opposed to when you don't eat. And so the triggers we've just talked about, so it could be in social situations, it could be after you've just had a bit of a go at hubby or the kids and they're just getting on your nerves. It might be just after work. It could be the mother-in-law ringing, whatever. So it's that point in time. So if you know the pattern of when it happens, so 4 o'clock-itis, 3 o'clock-itis, very technical term, what's the trigger? Is it the whole, that's when I get home and the kids are at me and it's stressful? So then you can pick out the triggers. Have a think of it. And also, sometimes it's like being caught with your pants down. If you are in a social situation, I haven't planned this and there's nothing around that's healthy. Whereas I think it was great to set the book club, if it's once a month, then you've already employed a strategy where you've got control. Yeah. What are the other triggers? Can you think of other triggers? So this is something to think about later on, or like I said, after the challenge, if you find that's not a problem for you now, perhaps down the track, the mindset might be the thing that kind of goes off topic. Any other triggers or patterns that you find that you try to work out?
Sorry. I just find that 4 o'clock here.
Yep.
And that's it.
Mm.
Been great the whole day, and then I just have a really big sugar craving.
Yeah. Okay, so what things have you tried before to combat that sugar craving? Have you had an afternoon where it has worked, where you've overcome it?
I think it depends on what week it is.
Aha. So whether it's a good week or not so good week, or
I
if it's
think
routine.
hormonal.
Aha, so hormones. Yeah, okay. So given that our hormones are quite regular, in terms of every month it happens, then it's probably looking at what can I do. Now, at that point in time, quite often if it's hormonal, sometimes the urge is so big that you give into it, but it's how much of it as well. So sometimes you can allow yourself a treat, or is it something else to distract yourself with? So what things have you tried that's worked?
Well, yoga.
Okay, so that's working.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So if you're liking the sweet, that's why I thought these snacks were great. What can I have that's sweet but also satisfying? These the lemon chair balls are pretty good in terms of it really just satisfies that sweet tooth. And the savoury things as well, particularly if it is with a drink or if you're more of a savoury tooth, they actually satisfy you. But who's found sometimes you eat the healthy treat and then you're like, that's right. What do you do after you've eaten a healthy treat? What's your strategy after that? Because you're going, that was nice, but it just hasn't given me that bit punch. What do you do next?
Now I need a cup of tea.
Does that work? Yeah. Okay. So a cup of tea or fluid. We know having fluid can help like fill you up.
Changing your space that you're in, so it goes do something else.
Distract yourself. So you can see that a thought needs to be paired with a behaviour. So, yep, I'm thinking this is really good, had the yogurt, change state. So that is changing yourself, it's removing yourself from that situation. Because if you're hanging around the kitchen, it's like a red flag to me. It's not working. So remember, it's the Dr. Phil, how's that working for you? If you keep going back and doing the same thing, change the situation. And sometimes, and who's found that you go and distract yourself, you might go and hang up the washing, go for a walk, get on the computer, and it's gone. You truly are distracted, so that's exactly what you want to do. And the more you do it, it becomes habitual. So I talked last week about good and not so good habits. With changing habits, it takes time and persistence. And remember, we talked about consistency last week. So if you can be consistent with employing that new way of working in terms of a habit, over time, it will just be, who's found that? Like, even in the challenge, you've got yourself in a nice little routine. Like with the exercise routine, it's like, yep, at this point in time I go to class, or you're enjoying a breakfast, or you've got your measuring cups, and you just got a new habit. That's all it is. I've got some alternative ways, a whole menu of options, but I figured it'd be pretty good with them. Here's a few ideas. So like you said, Carrie, distract yourself. So there's a whole heap here that you can, I've put one, plan a holiday on the internet. And even if you're not going to go away, it's nice to dream all the time.
Maybe we could go on an excursion to really think out the French eat.
Wow, that sounds good. Speaking of that, I actually went on the internet the other day, just for a bit of distraction, and one of my clients went to the south of France, got himself an apartment, and it was all lovely, so I Googled it, and I was like, great. I didn't get the dinner done, but that's okay. But you can dream. But yeah, I mean, that's one thing you can do. Find comfort elsewhere. So that's like I said before. What do you do? What can you do that makes you feel better without the guilt? So that might be the take a warm bath. Pet therapy, there's lots of research on pets, having a pet and it helping with stress. So play with your pet. Paint your nails. Watch your favourite TV show. Just have a good belly laugh and or maybe call a friend. Music therapy is very good too. Who gets sort of in a better mood when you start to put music on, a bit of a dance, if no one else is in the house?
I relate music
Practice
to
your
my
moves.
Sorry? I said I relate music to work because I work on the computer and I've got music on all day. So to me, music is work. So
there you go for you.
So I don't have the radio, like if I'm home by myself, I don't have the radio on, I don't have the TV on.
It's interesting, isn't it? So that's why I always have it as a menu, because it's not one size fits all. Because who would relate to music in the afternoon? Yep. People who wouldn't, it might be, I need quiet time. So that might be reading a magazine, reading a book, quiet time. Yeah. I've talked before about drinking water, so there's a lot of research saying if you drink water before a meal, maybe a glass after it, that can actually help curb the appetite and make you feel full. But also, quite often when you're thirsty and hungry, clean your teeth straight after meals. Sometimes people find that works. You've got that peppermint taste. It's like don't want any more. So the tempting foods, we've talked about having a cup of tea, you said Effie. Yeah, the curbing your appetite, having a snack for the social function. So exactly like you said before about the book club, that's one that can work for you. So I've put there, if that relates to you, you might think of what's your strategy. Does anyone have any great strategies that they've been using already, which is actually helping with mindless eating?
I find that getting up at doing the 6 a.m. class, it's actually made me more aware of what I'm doing throughout the day. Just by doing exercise first thing in the morning, I just find it makes me, I don't know, just watch what I'm doing for the rest of the day.
Fantastic. Who else finds that once you do your exercise? Yeah, for some people it works, definitely. I think I mentioned this last week. I had one guy come in with a lot of different nutritional issues. Exercise was an issue. And I said, well, where do you want to start? And he said, the exercise. And I was thinking, well, the food pills. He said, no, I want to do the exercise. I said, what makes you want to start with the exercise? Exactly like you said. He said, if I get up and do the exercise, then I'm more likely to be motivated to eat healthy. And it worked. He came back 4 weeks later, started the exercise. He said, I'm going to start with 2 days a week, because, and any extra will be a bonus because he's so busy. He ended up doing 3 days a week, and his food had been tidy up. There was only just a few things that were to change, but he did it himself. So yeah, exactly right. So I always think about what will work for me. So I think when you read any inspirational books like Michelle Bridges, she's got some great tips, or if you read our stuff, that's all well and good, but if you feel it doesn't work for you, think of the concept. They're talking about nutrition and exercise, eating regularly, having a good mindset, but then put it in your life, because we've all got different lives, and don't ever feel that you have to be, actually follow exactly what they're doing. So you just have to really work around it. Has anyone ever looked at a meal plan or something and you think, oh, it just won't work for me? Always just think about the concept and then it will work for you. Any others?
Drinking hot water. Because it's winter, we're not wanting to have a nice big old cup of tea.
That's right.
Thinking will happen.
Yeah.
But we'll just have water. So you still got your same cup?
Yep.
Bowl of water, put it in there.
Just change the temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the winter warming food.
Doesn't taste that bad.
Yeah. So a bit of lemon.
Just squeeze.
Yeah, that's good.
Nice,
Lemon plain or herbal tea will carry us good.
Drinking water actually has the same acidity as the actual cup of Coca-Cola.
Yes, and I guess when you, true point that it's high acidic, but I guess with our bodies we're designed to be able to tolerate that. So the pH, the acidity in our digestive system is so potent that it could actually chew up an old good, so to speak, and just pour it on an old good. So it's actually more potent than a lot of things we have. So with lemon, while it is acidic, it's not going to affect you. The only
It does
thing,
affect the teeth though.
correct. You'd have to brush your teeth after it, or what you'd do is use a straw. So you're right, you just have to be careful of decaying of the teeth. So with fruit juice, yeah, so you're right. So just be aware. But lemon juice can lower the blood sugars by about 30% after a meal. So if you use balsamic or white vinegar, lemon or lime juice, that acid, like I said, can have a blood sugar lowering effect of over 30%. So people with diabetes who are looking at preventing diabetes, acid to a meal and having protein with a meal, and your low GI carb are the 3 key things to keep the blood sugars down.
So putting that kind of balsamic dressing in salad.
Yeah. So a lot of the dressings I've been using, well, I haven't got so many salads in this challenge with the menu plan, but the rocket salad I used white wine vinegar, with all your fish and stuff, and even a lot of Middle Eastern cuisine and Indian cuisine, at the end they always squeeze lemon over the top. Sometimes it's to cut the hot taste as well, so something to be aware of. The last thing I've got here as well is mindless eating starts off with or mindful eating, or mindful munching, starts off with a thought. So we've just mentioned before and last week, just to be in tune with your thinking. And so we've all mentioned 4 o'clock items. If you've got the strategy, I've got the yogurt in the fridge, I know I can walk the dog, I've got lots of ideas. If it's still not working, sometimes it's worth thinking about what goes through my mind that really sabotages the whole thing. I've put a few ideas. So I shouldn't be eating this. That's you being the parent of yourself. Or I've been good all week. I deserve it. I'll start tomorrow. Exactly. Why bother? Or it could be, you know what? The challenge is finished. I've been good for 4 weeks. And sometimes people find that once they get that taste, that's when the wheels fall off. So it's really looking at, I can enjoy myself, but when is enough, when enough is enough. So have a think about what are your unhelpful thoughts. So what you've got to do is think of a point in time, because it might not just be the afternoon, it might be the evening, so it might be a bit of werewolf syndrome. It might be at work when everyone else is having treats. It might be at the book club or wherever you are. Tell me the unhelpful negative. So I said this last week, they don't have to be, I can't do it. It might be, that tastes nice. Oh, fancy one of those. And that thought will make us go and do it. And it's only not so good if it's not actually related to your healthy goal. If you've actually planned it because you've got a birthday party, enjoy it. But if it's that mindless stuff, quite often that thought can be quite what we call neutral, very much, that'd be nice. Oh, I'd like to taste of that. Oh, hubby's having one, I'll have one too.
It was like last night when my daughter come home from Wagga, because it's her birthday today, straight in, I had food for today, come straight into the pantry, open the chips, and they're all sitting around the kitchen bench last night while we're talking, eating the chips, and I thought, no, so I'm saving myself for today.
Oh, there you go, fantastic.
So they demolished a packet of chips between the three of them.
So that's the helpful thought. Yeah, I'm saving myself for today. What would you have done in the past?
Probably had the chips with them.
Yeah, I'm not missing out. So once you have a goal, so it goes back to a goal. So the good thing about the fitness challenge is you've got a goal in mind. So at the forefront of your head is, no, I've got a plan, whereas before it might be, I've got no goal. So to hell with it. What's an unhelpful thought that might go through your mind? It's very interesting to see how the mind works and what really goes through your head that actually goes and sabotages that best intention. Any other unhelpful thoughts?
Mine's like they're all eating it, so why can't I?
Why can't I? I'm missing out.
Just have one.
Just
And then I'll just have one more.
yes, there's no calories in a slither of cake. That's right. So have a think about, and like I said before, if this doesn't relate to you now, when you find you're off track, go back and think, is it my exercise that's the issue? Is it my headspace? Or am I out of touch with my nutrition in terms of I'm not planned, I'm not measuring things out? So sometimes it's good just to write down and think about those unhelpful thoughts. And if you're not sure of it, catch yourself thinking like that at that point in time. It's very interesting to think, oh, I'm so sneaky, I can't believe I do this. So then you've got to think of the helpful thoughts. So it's not just saying about what's negative, it's looking at helpful. And helpful thoughts can be something so simple, exactly like you said, I'm saving myself for tomorrow. It's not, oh, it's wonderful. It could be something very simple that you believe. So tell me the sorts of thoughts that are going through your mind as you're going through the challenge that are working for you. Because it's obviously working, you're all looking great, you're all here, and that all starts off with a conscious decision in your head. What are the thoughts that are going through your mind that are actually keeping you on track and have saved you a few times?
Mine is, I want to be as active as my children.
That's a good one. Okay, so it goes into role model. I want to be as active as my children.
Growing.
Fantastic. What we call that is technical term intrinsic or internal motivation. So most people won't do things for health's sake. I'm going to do it to be healthy. It's what health will do for you. So the intrinsic internal motivator is I'm doing it for my children, I'm doing it to get that job promotion, I'm doing it for my family, I want a healthy retirement. It's the fundamental things that a human being wants, so it's what health will do for you. And that's the usual thing that gets people. What other thoughts have been working?
Mine is I've got a holiday to Vietnam next March.
Oh, so you've got a reward.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So mine is to get healthy and lose weight and that before we go. Because we've got a few trekking and bike rides and that while we're away, so to get, yeah.
Fantastic. So what health will do for you is to enjoy that holiday because you can keep up and ride bikes. Excellent. So sometimes people find they tie in a reward with a sort of a helpful thought. So if I do this, then I'll get to do. Yeah, it's a big nice reward, isn't it? Any other thoughts that you've been finding? I call them lifelines. You've got a call and a thought that will actually save you, and then you need to attach it to a behaviour, which usually is distraction, get out of the house or whatever. What other thoughts have been really working for you or have worked for you?
Another one that's worked for me is you should be grateful of life. I'm getting to an age now, I'm only 30, but I'm hearing of all these friends and things coming with illnesses and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I'm just hit a point where I'm really grateful that I am healthy and well. Yeah. So that's what I put through my life.
Yeah, great. Has anyone else got that? Sometimes if you've found that someone has is ill or passed away, and you think, you know, be grateful for what you've got, make the most of what you've got. Because we all get in the rat race, don't we? You think, oh, I didn't do this, I haven't got this, I haven't got that. And rather than looking at the overall picture, so that's a great one to just be happy with what we've got.
There's an advertising campaign somewhere at the moment, I don't know where I've seen it, but nothing tastes as good as skinny feels.
I've seen it about
That's
3
what
times.
Kate
Moss.
says.
Oh, the Kate Moss.
Really? Interesting.
Motto as well.
Comments?
Yeah, but she doesn't eat.
That's why it's unfair to say that.
Yeah, she's coughing something that's like
She
that.
doesn't
Yeah.
Snorting it.
Cigarettes, like
Better edit that.
I just don't think she's right.
I think, you know, some of us, or most of us here are working so hard to get to a point and come from a point where we haven't been healthy or overweight or whatever.
That's right.
And you think, well, if I do eat that, then I'm going backwards on my steps.
I'm doing
So,
all your hard work.
yeah, so I suppose looking at what you're doing and the hard work, it's easy to undo it.
Correct. So what you're doing is looking at, there are always trade-offs, so
Yeah.
it's going to be hard, and you're absolutely right. For some people, it may not be the benefits, it's all this work is going to go unstuck. You know, so you might have to remind yourself of the not so good consequences, or reminding yourself, I'm doing this for me. If we're talking about you've got family and for any business, give yourself to everyone else. This thing is for me, no one's going to touch it. So this is the goal I want to achieve. Yeah. But yeah, people are different. Either the consequences, the losses, reminding yourself of where you were before, or what you've got to gain. So sometimes people find that they have a thought, if it doesn't work for you, you should think of the exact opposite, you do something different. Or it might be just pull your finger out and just do it. Just kick up the pants, out there and do it. Just depends on the person. So given that, tell me where you're at from what we've talked about today. And we're going to have some sampling of snacks. Has anything sort of have I highlighted any points that you think, yep, I'm just going to be a bit more mindful of this for the next week, or has it highlighted, you know what, I am doing the right thing and I'm just going to keep on track? It's reaffirmed what I'm already doing. What are your thoughts?
I think a bit of both.
So the next 2 weeks, what do you see might get in the way? Let's just troubleshoot for 5 minutes.
I'm going to the water next weekend, so
So what we foresee are some of the sticking points.
probably, hopefully not too much actually, because going out for dinner's probably not really too much of a...
You've got choice, you
Yeah.
can choose something.
Yeah, it's probably just travelling in the car.
Okay, so travelling in the car can be one of those mindless moments. So what ideas have you got to prevent anything from coming unstuck?
I usually sleep.
Okay, perfect. That's all right.
Because I don't have to drive.
So if you're sleeping, there's not going to be any eating, but do you think that sometimes eating happens?
Yeah,
Okay, so what's
so I
your...
just won't take anything in the car.
Okay, cool. So if it's a long trip, it might be
Yeah, we won't take anything either.
fantastic. So it might be a healthy snack,
Mm.
because if you're going to get petrolly hungry, so it might be a healthy snack, like you said before, if it's something that's satisfying, that's low GI, because let's face it, a trip to Walker is fairly long, and then you might be fine. But if someone else gets into a panic, oh, I've got this event, and then when you start to think about it, that's not going to be that bad. Yes, I usually order this for dinner, and so sometimes we just tend to underestimate how much will go wrong. Anything else you might feel that's going to get in the way in the next 2 weeks? You know, sort of sticking points.
The cold weather.
Yeah. So what does the cold weather do for us in terms of coming? Is it just comfort food, or is it just energy with exercise, or what's the... Okay.
I fought with myself this morning, trying to get out. Just in the afternoon, like I'm at home,
Yep.
always just in the afternoon, if it's nice afternoon, when you're outside playing, and
Yep.
if you're inside,
Yeah.
Heaters on.
just a bit closer to that kitchen.
That's right.
But even the kids are like hungry. Like, they're like,
Yeah.
oh, and I'm like,
I'll be happy to do whatever you say. So yeah. But I guess it's going. That's a trigger. So always thinking about, you know, if I want something comforting, got the heater on, what can we all have as a family that's comforting? And it might be going back to those snacks, having a look at that something's different, or cook something together, looking at some, or playing a game with them, but also having a snack. So yeah, think of your trigger points. And then if you can plan it before it happens, then you're going to get caught with your pants down, then you won't go to the, oh well, didn't have a plan sort of thing.
You're paying to them as well.
It's huge. But you do it as mothers or if you're working, and so all you have to do is apply the skills you have if you're a mother and working to your health. It's no different. You need a plan, you need to know what you do, you need to have a backup plan if it doesn't work. Same thing, same thing. So with nutrition and exercise, it's not just the doing, it's the conscious effort and reminding yourself of the benefits and also being consistent with it. And that sort of recipe will get you to that success, which you're already doing already. I mean, who's feeling different even in 2 weeks? Well, what benefits are you noticing already?
I notice my fitness is getting a little bit.
Fantastic. So just in 2 weeks, it's quite a short time, and if you notice the day-to-day things, that's pretty good.
Has it been 2 weeks or only 1 week?
1 week, has it?
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep saying 2.
You've just got me confused.
Sorry.
It's because there's been 2 Saturdays.
Yeah, that'd be it. Yeah.
Saturday,
Oh, that's last Saturday was day
We're at the
one.
beginning of the second week.
Because I'm doing the menu plan, I'm already in 3 or 4. Yeah, like I'm doing that, so I think that's why I've done week 2.
And so for a lot of you that are still coming to the classes, I suppose the question you ask is understandable because a lot of you are just improving, well, no, I assume you could be either 1, improving your nutrition, or 2, increasing the amount of exercise you're doing. So it could be only the week that you're actually feeling, like for you, Sharon, you're definitely coming to heaps more classes. That would be definitely understandable that you'd be feeling fitter and stronger. Yeah.
Definitely. So in a short amount of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And so when you think of detox, a lot of people say, oh, you know, in terms of detox, go on a juice diet, look, that's all well and good, but your liver is a detoxifying organ. So a week of healthy eating, you detoxed yourself anyway. So that's exactly what you're saying. So don't ever feel you have to go on those sorts of things. Some people feel it's not harmful, but you know, 4 weeks, if you think you feel good in 1 week, times that by 4, huge difference. And all those foods are quite simple, they're very easy to prepare, and hopefully that will reap the benefits. So speaking of food, I thought I might hand out